Untold Black Stories. He used to stand outside this very window, counting spare change to buy lunch. Today, he stepped inside. And someone was about to regret that. He didn't look like he belonged. Not in the chandelier light. Not between glass shelves stacked with $1,000 suits. Not in a place where even silence smelled expensive. His name was Marcus. A black man in a navy hoodie, worn jeans, and sneakers that had seen better days. To most, just another guy off the street. But his walk carried the calm of someone who no longer asked for permission. The store was luxury incarnate. Crystal lighting. Slow jazz humming from hidden speakers. Leather-bound couches. The kind of boutique where they call you sir before they decide if you're worth serving. Marcus stopped by the outerwear display. His fingers brushed the fabric, not just touched it, but felt it. He flipped a tag, studied the lining. This wasn't random. He'd been looking for this jacket. Limited release. Old season. Premium wool blend. He knew it better than most who worked here. Good afternoon, sir. A soft, clear voice. Melissa, a young black sales associate, her name glowing on a silver tag. That jacket's from our signature collection. Great structure, perfect weight, I can show you others if you'd like. Marcus gave her a faint smile. The kind of smile that meant, thank you for seeing me. You'll learn to tell the difference between customers and wanderers. Let me handle this. The interruption cut the air. Hard and cold. Garrett, the store manager, stepped in from the back. Slim, salt and pepper hair, suit sharp enough to slice through tension. His eyes flicked up and down Marcus's figure like scanning a barcode. Good day, mister. Just looking, Marcus said, calm as ever. Garrett's smirk tightened. This jacket costs over $6,000. We're not a thrift store. We'd prefer items stay undamaged until real buyers arrive. Melissa shifted her stance. With all due respect, sir, this gentleman hasn't done anything wrong. He's not your call, Melissa. His voice didn't rise, but it punched. Let's not forget how you got here. Diversity hire doesn't mean decision maker. Stay in your lane. She froze. Shoulders stiffened. Her eyes dropped for a moment. Nobody else in the store said a word. A man in a camel coat turned his back. A woman by the shoes suddenly got real interested in her phone. Even the security guard avoided eye contact. Garrett moved closer to Marcus, nodded at the jacket still in his hands. You've been holding that piece for 5 minutes now, near the exit. No payment. That's suspect behavior. It's just a jacket, Marcus replied flatly. Maybe to you. To others, it's temptation. Garrett tapped a button on his tablet. Get security. Call the cops. I'm done playing this game. Let's find out who he really is. Melissa stood frozen. Marcus slowly placed the jacket back on the rack. His expression didn't change, same calm, same silence. But now, it felt deeper. Heavier. Like a wave holding back its full force. The squad car rolled up like it was unsure whether this sidewalk was worth its tires. 2 officers stepped out, one young, tense behind his shades despite the gray sky, the other older, thicker, with the look of a man who'd watched lies and truth change places too many times. Garrett came out to greet them first. That's him. The guy near the coats. He spoke fast, urgent. I got him to put the jacket down, but I'm telling you, if I hadn't stepped in, he would have walked. No ID. Acting off. Hovering around the exit like he owned the place. The older cop gave a quiet nod. The younger was already walking toward Marcus. Sir, can we see some ID, please? Don't have it on me, Marcus replied evenly. Just checking out the collection. Didn't yell. Didn't steal. Just held a jacket. Yeah, well, the manager says you. The younger cop gave him a once-over, the same visual scan Marcus had already endured today. I didn't steal anything, Marcus said flatly. There's cameras. Run the tapes. Melissa stood frozen. Her heartbeat thudded in her throat. She'd seen this before, the wrong tone, the wrong look, the wrong skin, and just like that, someone's story gets rewritten. But this time. She stepped forward. Excuse me, officers, her voice shook, but held. I work here. I was standing right there the whole time. This man didn't steal anything. He was polite. Respectful. I think our manager made a judgment call based on appearance. The younger officer looked at her like she'd broken protocol. The older glanced at Garrett. Did you actually see him walk off with anything? Well, he was near the door, and it just looked like. Garrett stuttered. His gaze flicked back to Melissa, now with thinly veiled contempt. Thank you, the older officer cut in, turning to Marcus. Sir, would you be willing to come with us to the station? Just to clear things up. No cuffs. No pressure. You putting me in cuffs? Marcus asked, his head tilting slightly. No, sir. Not necessary. We just want to verify ID, then you're free to go. Marcus looked at Melissa. She gave a slight nod. In her eyes, apology, and respect. He nodded back. Let's go. The officers let him out. No force. No grabbing. Just quiet exit under quiet judgment. One of the security guys raised his phone. Snapping a photo. Recording. A piece of a story with no beginning, no end, just the middle, taken out of context. Garrett stood in the doorway. When Marcus was out of sight, he turned to Melissa. Pack your things. She didn't respond. I'll explain to ownership. And if you even think about going over my head, I will bury your name. I've got connections. One call, and you won't get hired at a food court in this city. Melissa stood there, smaller somehow. Quieter. And Garrett, for one brief moment, felt like he'd won. That wouldn't last long. Because in the precinct database, a name just popped up, and it's about to change everything. The precinct felt quiet, too quiet for a Saturday. Stale coffee in a chipped thermos, old chairs with peeling vinyl, scuffed linoleum floors, the kind of place where time didn't hurry and nothing ever surprised anyone. Until Marcus walked in. Take a seat right here, the older officer said, nodding to a desk by the computer. The younger one started typing. Last name? Blackwell. Full name? Marcus Julian Blackwell. Clicking keys. A pause. The younger cop leaned closer to the screen. His back straightened slowly, like his body figured it out before his brain did. Yo, this real? He turned the monitor toward his partner. The older man leaned in, frowned, then looked up at Marcus with something between recognition and disbelief. On screen, a conference photo. Below it. Marcus J. Blackwell, impact investor, founder of the Blackwell Foundation, honored by U.S. Congress for contributions to education and equality. Links to schools, health initiatives, startup accelerators across the U.S. and Africa. Oh damn, the younger one muttered. You're, that Marcus Blackwell? Afraid so, Marcus said calmly, like he was confirming a lunch reservation. Silence. Even the copy machine in the corner stopped humming. Mr. Blackwell, the older cop finally said, voice lower now, careful. We owe you an apology. Obviously, this was a mistake. We were just following protocol. I get it, Marcus nodded. Seen worse. I know what standard procedure looks like when your face makes people nervous before you even say a word. We could take you back, if you want, the younger officer offered. Talk to that manager. Give him a little wake-up call. Marcus gave a tired smile. Not smug, just tired. Injustice doesn't cancel itself out. But letting it slide? That's not an option either. He checked his watch. Excuse me. I need to make a few calls. He stepped into the hallway, phone already at his ear. His voice was level, precise. Yeah. It's time to dust off that old idea. You know which one. Push it to the front of the queue. Full priority. When he returned, both officers were sitting straighter. Respectful now. Not out of fear, just clarity. The younger cop handed him a card. If you need anything, reach out. Personally. I appreciate it, Marcus said. He shook both hands. His grip was firm, but cold. He wasn't angry. He was focused. Because the decision had already been made. Melissa packed up in silence. She placed things carefully into the box, a mug that read, "You got this," her headphones, a notebook filled with her niece's drawings, a small bottle of perfume. She tried not to look up, not to meet anyone's eyes. A few co-workers walked past without a word. Some buried themselves in racks and hangers. Others simply disappeared on extended lunch. Garrett stood nearby, chewing something, relaxed, arms crossed like he was watching the janitor finish up after hours. Don't get any ideas about running your mouth, he said casually, voice low but sharp. One word to the owner, and it's over for you. Melissa stayed quiet. But her hands gripped the edge of the box tighter. You think I'm bluffing? He stepped closer. One call, and you won't get hired at a mall kiosk. Jane from Whitestone. Carrie from District 5. They listen to me. She looked up. For the first time, straight into his face. You're afraid, she said, quiet but steady. And that's the only thing giving me the strength not to fall apart. Garrett paused. Then gave a small, smug smile. Me? Afraid? Nah. I just play the game better. And you broke the rules. You lost. Now you're no one. She left holding the box like it carried what was left of her voice. The door clicked shut behind her, quiet, but somehow louder than anything Garrett had said all day. Elsewhere, on the 20th floor of a sleek glass office, Marcus sat across from his attorney. A lease agreement lay open on the table. The field labeled, property owner, had already been updated. All clean, the attorney said, flipping through the pages. Previous owners thrilled, your offer doubled what they expected. Marcus didn't respond. He simply pointed to a clause, personnel structure subject to review at owner's discretion. Start there. Let him go. The attorney asked. No, Marcus replied. Not yet. Let him stay a while. There's something he needs to learn. The lawyer raised an eyebrow. Revenge? No. Education. Meanwhile, Melissa stood at her doorstep, staring at the box in her hands, unable to walk inside. The key pressed against her palm, but her fingers wouldn't move. In her head, how do I tell my mom? What do I say to Jade? She already picked out her dress for the Disney store trip. She sank down onto the steps. Hugged the box to her chest like it carried the last scraps of her dignity. Behind her, silence. Around her, city sounds, someone laughing across the street, someone dragging out trash, a parent crossing the sidewalk with a kid. And her. Still. Wordless. Anchored. A gust of wind lifted a paper from the box. An old notebook. It flipped open to a child's drawing, Melissa holding a little girl's hand. In crayon, the words. My aunt is the bravest. She closed her eyes. Took a deep breath. She had no idea how much this moment would reshape her life. But something inside her had already shifted. Garrett smoothed his hair in the mirror. Suit. Perfect. Shirt. Crisp, fresh. A new gold lapel pin, he only wore it on special days. Today was one of them. The new owner was coming. He didn't know what the man looked like, but Garrett knew how this game worked. First impressions weren't just important, they were survival. Everyone in place? He asked, scanning the staff. All but the new girl at reception, one of the stylists replied. Tell her to smile like she's part of the decor, Garrett snapped. And remind security, no improvising. He walked the sales floor like a general. Straightened a sleeve on a mannequin. Adjusted lighting. Everything had to be immaculate. If this went well, he could finally move up, partner, maybe even regional director. Then the front door opened. A man in a black coat walked in first. And behind him, the guy in the hoodie. Garrett froze. His whole face shifted in 2 seconds, from fake hospitality to full-blown rage. You again. What are you doing here? He turned to the woman next to Marcus. Security. Get him out. This man already caused trouble here. The woman, holding a tablet and wearing a badge that read, Executive Assistant, looked at Garrett calmly. Are you serious? Do you really not know who you're talking to? What? That's Mr. Marcus Blackwell. He's the new owner of this store. Garrett stood still. Eyes unfocused. Hands twitching slightly. This must be some kind of mistake. Marcus took a few quiet steps forward. His presence changed the air. This isn't a mistake, he said. It's just a reality you chose not to see. Because it didn't fit your assumptions. Garrett clenched his jaw, but didn't respond. Where's the employee who stood up for me that day? Marcus continued. I don't remember her name. But I remember her courage. She left, Garrett muttered. She resigned. Reach out to her. Let her know she has a new role here. What kind of role? Garrett's voice was sharp, defensive. Yours. Marcus didn't blink. She's now the general manager of this store. What? Garrett erupted. You have no idea what I've done for this place. I hit every goal. I stayed late. I built this store from the ground up. Then finishing out 6 months as her assistant shouldn't be a problem, Marcus said, calm as stone. No. I won't do that. I refuse. I quit. That's when Marcus's assistant finally looked up from her tablet. If you choose to resign, she said, flipping to a specific page. Your contract includes an early termination clause. How much? Garrett snapped. $30,000. Payable within 14 days. The store fell silent. Like it was holding its breath. Garrett stood stiff, gripping the counter. His eyes flicked from one staff member to the next, people who no longer looked away. And in the back corner, the same security guard who once stood quiet. He smiled. Just slightly. The rain stopped exactly 5 minutes before Melissa stepped in front of the store. The glass was spotless. The sign, brand new. But the most striking change. The mannequins weren't all the same anymore. The window display showed figures with different skin tones, different builds, different styles. All dressed in designer pieces, but with a twist, bold scarves, fresh sneakers instead of stiff dress shoes, an afro next to a slick-back bun. Something in the air had shifted. This wasn't just a boutique for the chosen few anymore. It was a space where you could see yourself, and be seen. Melissa stood there for a few seconds, took a deep breath, adjusted her collar, and walked in. Inside, new faces. But some familiar ones too. One of her former co-workers gave her a smile and a wink. So, you're the boss now? Melissa didn't answer. Just smiled back, faint but proud. Upstairs, they were waiting. Mr. Blackwell's assistant led her to the office, the one Garrett used to claim like a throne. Marcus was there, standing by the window, looking out over the city. "I don't even know how to thank you," Melissa began. "You don't need to," he said. "I didn't do anything heroic. Just said a few things right." "But, why me?" He turned to face her. "Because when everyone else stayed silent, you spoke up. Not because it was easy. Because it was right. I was scared. And you still did it. That matters more." He reached for a nameplate on the desk. "General Manager." And handed it to her. "You'll be building your team. Some will be pros. Some will be fresh out of nowhere. Your job is simple: make sure no one who walks into this place ever feels like they don't belong." Melissa nodded, tight and focused. Marcus turned to leave, then paused at the door. "As for Garrett, he's still here. For now. I believe second chances are part of justice too. But this time, he'll be learning how to listen. And how to see." Days later, photos of the new storefront appeared on social media. The new name, in clean bold letters. Black Excellence. No slogan. Just a period. And this caption. "For the ones no one asked if they belonged. They always did." Melissa stood outside that window, looking at a mannequin in a charcoal suit from the new line. It looked like her father. The one she lost years ago. And only she knew the tears, the doubts, the silence it took to get here. This wasn't just a store anymore. It was an answer. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, drop a comment and hit that subscribe button. We're building something real, and we can't do it without your help. More untold stories are coming.